Over the years, our family's had a share of health problems.
So prescriptions are a part of our life.
Before we went to the big box store.
We both thought it would help us save. But with the long lines and impersonal service, filling prescriptions became a chore. That's when a friend recommended D&H.
Now Tristan knows our prescriptions. Brenda always helps us find the right vitamins. And after Dad's fall, Monica's been a real expert with all our home medical needs. All without the lines.
Trust and service.
That's our D&H.
Good morning and welcome to Radio Friends on Thursday, May the 8th. We're going to talk about a wonderful resource that we have in Central Missouri. We're very, very fortunate to have it. And I want to introduce you to Melanie Knocke, who is the director of Columbia Public Schools Planetarium. Good to have you here, Melanie.
Thank you.
And I got to tell you, I got an email from one of your former students a couple of months ago, Ravi.
Ravi, yes.
And he told me that I need to have you on Radio Friends and talk about this planetarium. Now, we've had Val German on many times.
That's right.
And he's talked about the planetarium, but you are the director there.
The director of the planetarium.
Now, it's called the Columbia Public Schools Planetarium, not the Rockbridge Planetarium. Why?
Well, that's because it is within Rockbridge High School. So Ravi will tell you it is the Rockbridge High School Planetarium. But when we started to, when we got a new projection system, we got new shows, we sat down, we tried to figure out what we were doing with the facility. We decided we didn't want to tie it solely to Rockbridge. We wanted people from Hickman to come too, and now Battle. And so we wanted to make it wider in scope. So that's why we changed it to Columbia Public Schools.
What makes this planetarium so very special?
Well, for one thing, it's the only planetarium within a 100-mile radius. There's a planetarium in St. Louis, and there's a planetarium in Kansas City, and there's one in Central Missouri.
How does this planetarium compare to St. Louis and Kansas City?
Well, of course, I am biased.
Right.
Okay, but I think it's great. I think it holds up very well. St. Louis has a much larger dome with a much larger star ball, but we're okay for what we got. We fill our space nicely. Kansas City has a slightly bigger dome too, but I like our space. It's a very comfortable space. We have what is called a hypodome, which means it's more than 180 degrees. It's actually 220 degrees. It's tilted, so it makes it easier for you to view the screen. Instead of looking straight overhead all the time, you can look at an angle and see the sweet spot in the dome, where all the action goes.
And you got new seats,
We
too.
got new seats thanks to Stafford Family Trust. They donated money, and we got brand new seats.
Okay, we got a picture of those new seats. If you can take it, they look like airline first class seats.
We are a first class organization.
Yeah.
Yes, we are.
And you can seat about how many people?
With those new seats, we increased our capacity by 20. So now we have 85.
Okay, if you want to see what we're talking about, go to kbia.org and then watch this segment of Radio Friends. There is not a bad seat in the house, is there?
No, there is not. The seats in the back are slightly more comfortable, but I tell you, I've had kids that lay down on the very front and watch. And so it's all fun.
Yeah.
And it's a full dome show. So it uses the entire dome for a screen. So no matter where you look in the dome, you're going to be seeing something.
And we've got a picture of the projection system there.
That's right. Well, that's the control panel, and that, yes, that controls the star ball, which is currently in its cave, as you can see in there. There's a person standing right next to the cave. For the show, the star ball is down for the canned part of the show. And then after the canned part of the show is done, we raise the star ball up using that control panel, and that looks like something from the 1960s, and that's because it is. Actually, we got the star ball in 1974. So the technology that went into making the star ball is what got us to the moon.
Okay.
And it's still working.
All right. And we got one more picture, and this is...
That is from one of the shows that we have. It's one of our full dome shows, and you can see it really encompasses the entire frame.
Yeah, it's a picture looking at the space shuttle.
Right, and I believe that was from one of our shows called Astronaut, that we will be offering in June. We have public shows that are scheduled the second Saturday of each month.
Which means you have a show coming up this Saturday.
This Saturday, and that's actually a special show because this, our second Saturday of the month actually falls on Astronomy Day, National Astronomy Day, which was started in 1973 by a guy in Northern California who just wanted to set a telescope out on the sidewalk and show people the universe that we live in. And so each year there's an astronomy day that is tied to, it's between mid-April and mid-May, and it's tied to the Saturday closest to the first quarter moon, because the first quarter moon is a great object to look at with a telescope.
And why is that?
Because there's just so much to see. There's so much detail, and it's really easy to see. When you have, I worked at an observatory for several years, and when you have faint, fuzzy objects, you can never tell if people can see those. But the moon is so bright, and it's so easy to see through a telescope. Sometimes you can actually adjust a person's head and get it in their eye. When
Well, you don't. I bought a telescope a couple of years ago, and we talk about the moon being so bright. It almost hurts my eyes looking through the telescope because the moon is so bright. But what you see, the details that you see on the moon.
Yeah, it's pretty incredible.
It is.
Yeah.
It is.
Now, at the planetarium, we don't have any telescopes that we use. You go inside a dome, but the dome does not open up to the real night sky. In the planetarium, we have the projector that projects images of stars up onto the dome. And we do shows, and then we bring up the star ball and we do tours of the night sky, but it's all inside. So to look through a telescope, you have to go outside, like to Laws Observatory on top of MU campus.
But this coming Saturday, what time is your show?
This coming Saturday, we have shows from 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock, and 4 o'clock.
And this is open to the public?
It is open to the public. It is free. We do ask for donations, and the neat thing about this show is that the show we are going to be debuting is called Hubble Vision, and we purchased this show using funds that we have collected from the public over the last 2 years.
Okay, so this really is the public's show.
This is the public show. We bought this show using money that people have graciously donated over the last 2 years. It's about the Hubble Space Telescope, and it talks about, how it was launched, how it's been maintained, some of the many discoveries that it's made. And this show,
you're showing images from the Hubble telescope?
Almost every image that you see within this show is actual images from the Hubble Space Telescope.
And you're looking, when you're seeing images in the Hubble, you're actually looking back in time, correct?
Yeah. The farther away an object is, the longer it takes that light to get to us. So it's really time travel. Because by the time, if an object is 100 light years away, and we see that object tonight, what we're seeing is what the object looked like 100 years ago, or 200 years ago, or 300 years ago. So it's
with
really
the Hubble, how far back in time are we looking?
Oh, I think that they, like 13 billion years. 13 billion years is bordering on the limit of
looking
the
back
age
in
of the
time,
universe.
13 billion years.
Yeah, they have a great Hubble Deep Sky shot.
All right. It is fascinating. So it's this coming Saturday. Your shows are at the Columbia Public School Planetarium at Rockbridge High School. Again, the time?
1 o'clock, 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock, and 4 o'clock. And people should go to our website, cpsplanetarium.org, and reserve seats. That guarantees they can get in. We do accept walk-ins, but it's nice to be checked in.
All right. Thank you, Melanie. Appreciate it. And thank you, Ravi, for telling me about Melanie. Our program directed by Travis McMillan of the Reynolds Journalism Institute. Audio is Pat Akers from KBIA. Our floor director is Rachel Gangware. And our assistant producer and guest coordinator, Uncle James Mauser. Bye-bye.